name is Hanna. I am a feminist, I'm a teacher, I'm a mother, I'm a fighter, amongst other things. The main reason why I'm here is that I started teaching 7 years ago on the secondary school level. My students are 16 to 20, and I, being a feminist, know that we have, in Iceland, we have equal rights law. In this law, and we have had them since 1975, in this law it says that we should have gender education on all school levels. This has been in the Icelandic law since 1975. But it's so strange that these are the law that seemingly people can break without any complications, really. They can just break this law and nothing happens, no consequences. Anyway, I saw this, I checked in schools, are you doing gender education? And nobody was doing anything. So what I did is that I thought somebody needs to start, so I just started. I went to my schoolmaster and I said, here we have the law that requires us to have a gender equality education, and we're not doing it. So I want to do it. And he said, yes, you go, girl. And I went. And first I had to struggle because, please don't kill me, Rina, I know this is not in the script. The students were not so interested, and then I just started advertising. This is going to be fun. This is going to be great. Please come to my class. And next semester, first it didn't work. I just got 5 students, and they didn't allow me to do the course. But next time I got 15, so I was allowed. And after that, I have a waiting list. In every course I give, I have a waiting list because apparently students love it. Yes, well, that's why I'm here. And I have been now, because this started to get famous in Iceland, my course, and what happened is, this is so fun, because I had one lazy boy student who couldn't be bothered to write an essay, and I said, well, all right then, write a newspaper article about gender education, and this will be, you'll be off the hook, you know. And that's what he did. It's much easier to write a newspaper article than an essay, you know, with sources and everything. Anyway, what happened that everything went crazy in Iceland. There was this guy who wrote an article and he said, I'm a feminist now. I'm no longer a male chauvinist pig because of the gender education. And people were like, oh my God, is it curable? Is male chauvinist pigs, are they curable? And all the TV stations were calling him, and all the newspapers, and everybody was asking him, oh my God, did he get cured? And he said, yes, I got cured in gender education studies with Hanna. And he made me very proud. And anyway, after this all got very famous, people started to ask me to come to their schools and tell them about what are you doing, how do you do it, and all. And now I am training teachers in Iceland. I have courses for all school levels, play schools, grammar schools, the age from 7 to 15, and secondary school levels from 16 to 20. Because may sound a bit arrogant, but I know what I'm doing. And I know it works. It's just like that. I know in my heart. And my students, they just tell me this works. Okay, enough about me. The thing that what Eva and Marcus were saying, I was going to say more or less many similar things. The resources that Marcus was talking about how teachers discriminate the boys and girls in the classroom. We have some researches, studies in Iceland, and they show exactly the same thing. And every time I tell teachers this, they get all defensive, well, some get all defensive and say, well, I don't discriminate my students. But when you hear this, please don't go all defensive, because what we need, we are professionals. We are educated people, and we need to be strong enough to look on if we are doing something wrong. Because we have been socialized like every other people. We are part of the gender system that puts us in a different box, and we think like we're supposed to think until we wake up. And then we can get ourselves gender sensitive glasses and start to see what we do, how we talk to people and our students, and change, really. Well, enough about that. And I'm going to say, like Marcus, please ask me and interrupt me as much as you like. I'm used to speaking, not in English, in lectures, and I always get, if there's a male in the room, and I think there are two here, right? Three, perhaps, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. It's very usual for them to stand up and argue with me. And so nothing surprises me. Fire away, if you like. Okay, in my lecture I have some things that I think you've heard many times today, so I'm just going to fly over them. Why do we need gender education? We need it because of the wage gap. We need it because women are not where the power is, and power is defined as masculine, you know, in most of our heads. And this is in spite of, like they were talking about Eva and Marcus, we get better grades. We are, 60 or 70% of the university students in Iceland are women. And so we are educated, we are clever, and we are fighting, we're trying to get where the power is, but there is a glass ceiling, and we can't go all the way. Well, most of us, you know. We, of course, I will tell you about the situation in Iceland in a moment. The media is terrible with the stereotypes and shoving us down in the box where we belong, and making us feel bad often about ourselves. And we, of course, have gender-based violence. It's horrible. This is probably the ugliest form of the discrimination between the sexes, between the gender. That's the violence. Domestic work, according to Icelandic studies, they show that domestic work is about 70% in the hands of the woman. And this does not matter if she's working outside the home as well, you know. It's like in the joke. The man comes home from work and throws himself in the sofa and with a beer and the TV control, and the woman goes into the, and I have a question from one of the 3 men who are sitting here. Yes?
I'm a man. I also work, and when I come home, I don't jump to my sofa. I don't like to drink beer.
And you don't have a TV? No, I'm just joking. Just joking. Yes, yes, I know. And this is the kind of remarks I always get with my students and with teachers and everything. The thing is, in order to get a view over the problem, we need to generalize. Of course, there is a lot of. If I had a man, he would be like you, but I don't. So no, just joke. Of course, we have some men who don't throw themselves in the sofa. But the thing is, research show that women do have about 70% of the responsibility of the domestic work. This is a fact. So, and prostitution and human trafficking. This is part of the inequality, of course. In my view and many others, prostitution is a form of gender-based violence. I'm going fast forward here because I'm going to tell you more about what I do in the classroom, because I think you've heard much of this before today. But please stop me if I'm not clear, or if I'm going too fast, or anything. Yes, well, we are taught inequality. It inherits from one generation to another by the values, by the role models, by the stereotypes, and we are constantly taught that men are supposed to do this and women are supposed to do that, and we just keep on doing the same thing one generation after another. The media is perhaps the single worst enemy. I'm just throwing this as an idea. I think this is hard to argue that the media is, of course, the fourth power in the democratic community or culture, and it's very, very powerful. And women are silenced in the media, systematically silenced in the media. They are allegedly, do you understand this? Allegedly? Rina, are you okay? Beautiful, sexy, a little stupid, and all they think about is boys. You know this, don't you? This is sort of the image of women in the media. The situation in Iceland. Perhaps all of you know this, but I don't know how famous we are. But we have quite good situation compared to, I mean, Africa or I mean, different countries. But for example, we have a prime minister who is a woman, and one of my students, he said, she's a double woman because she's a lesbian and a woman. It's quite funny, isn't it? And we have a leader, the bishop leader for the national church is a woman, the first female bishop. And we did have a president for 16 years, a woman. And we have some women executives. And but this does not tell us just a part of the story, of course. But of course, this is a clue about, yes, we do have, the situation is not bad. But we, the Icelandic women who care about these issues, and there are quite a lot of us, feminists, who are trying to change things, and we are angry. We think that we have a backlash in the struggle, and first and foremost, this is the pornification to blame. Do you know what a pornification is? No? Okay. I'm just gonna tell you very quick. Pornification is when you have all the stuff from the porn floating over the community, over the culture, over the society, and it's being normalized. An example about this stuff from the porn is that sex is now just a marketing piece of something that you can buy. It's the pornification or the thing from porn that goes through the society is that we disconnect feelings from sex. We have all kinds of fashion statements from porn, this here and short skirts and you know, high heels, a lot of makeup. We have bodies from the porn being popular, big breasts and long legs and all that. And we have all kinds of, and the power in porn is really clear. Who is in charge in the porn? And now I'm talking about mainstream porn, which is about 90% of the porn which is viewed in on the internet. It's and there men have power and women don't. And you have all kinds of things. For example, when a man, I don't mean to offend you, but when a man ejaculates in the porn, in the face of the woman, we see this in all kinds of ads for milk, for example. Are you with me? Where and you have ads that show this for sodas and a burger. You see blowjob sign. A woman eating a hamburger, and somewhere in the text it says blow, you know. So all kinds of this stuff is floating over the culture, and it's normalized. We don't think anything of it. It's just okay. Are you with me now? What pornification is? Yeah. Okay, this was just a short detour. Yes. I'm sorry? No, okay. Yes, like I told you, gender equality law since 1975, and we have a gender equality office who has the mission to to guard all kinds of gender things in the society, and they get some money, and they can make ads, and they do all kinds of surveillance, if you like, in the society. And we have a gender studies faculty in the university, which is quite strong, and this is very important because their researches are made, and we educate, of course, gender thinking people who then goes to offices and goes to the workplace and have the gender knowledge and tools to change, if you know what I mean. I don't know, am I clear enough? My English is just so and so. Okay, and in addition to the gender equality law, because that was not working at all. I mean, people were just schoolmasters. They were just ignoring the law, and it's so unbelievable. For 30 years they were just ignored. Anyway, we have a new national curriculum. It's really a difficult word. Since 2011, and we are now implementing this new curriculum, and there we have again emphasize on equal rights, and so now people, teachers, schoolmasters, they cannot ignore this anymore. And what I am doing now, I am traveling around Iceland and holding workshops for teachers so they can do what they're supposed to do. And so I'm optimistic about this part. There is an awakening in Iceland, in the school system, about this, about gender issues. Okay, here we have a picture. This is from Icelandic politics. The thing is, we have a very big conservative party, and this is, of course, the right-wing politics, and they don't love women, really. And the people in the left-wing politics, they made this ad to show that how this big political right-wing party sees women, because they are shoving them away and putting them behind the kitchen, in the kitchen. You know, are you with me? The woman's place is in the kitchen or behind the stove, like somebody said once. Okay, here we have a quite typical women's magazine, where if you were from out of space and you saw all these magazines, you would think that women only think about sex, beauty, and boys. And because most of these magazines what they tell us about women, that they are not really interested in serious matters, which we of course know it's not true, don't we? And they keep throwing it, stuffing it down our throat. Be sexy, be beautiful, be young. And you know what? I know this is draining the power out of us. Unless we are very strong and we say, no, I'm not going to be a part of this. I am good enough as I am. I do not need a surgery. I do not need to be forever young. I'm going to be me, and you better accept it. Do you know what I mean? We have to teach girls to say that to themselves. This is a quite typical image of the genders in the media, where you see the man strong, big, secure, independent, fully dressed, of course, most of the time, and you see the woman helpless, weak, and embracing violence, because this is, in my view, this is not a normal man-woman thing, is it? This is violence, in my view. And here we have Go Men's Magazine, who usually put on the cover a man who has power or popular or something, and they are of course always fully dressed, and they are like this, you know, dependent, secure, in control, with power. And then they broke their rule and put a woman on the front. And what did they? This is so cliche, but they are still bloody doing this. All her clothes were taken off. She's completely helpless, powerless. I mean, she's just sexy, right? She's just a piece of meat. True? Don't try to argue with me. And here we see how silly this is. I mean, really. But we are digging in this grave constantly, showing, I mean, this shows how silly this is. You wouldn't trust those guys to run a country, would you? Are they likely to cure a cancer? No, this is one way, in my view, and now I'm talking from myself. In my view, we are silencing women by these stereotypes. We are making them think, do not try to be something. You are supposed to be young and beautiful and silly. Right? Okay, here's a joke. Well, no, it's not a joke really. Porn movies and Disney are responsible for the most frustrated human beings I know. And the girl says, where the hell is my Prince Charming? And the boy says, where the hell is my, what's the word? insatiable core. Whatever. You got the joke, Rena. But the thing is, I have been looking at children's stuff on television, Disney and all that, and we see the pornification there, because Cinderella is not flat-chested, just a normal girl in the looks. No, she has breasts and she is sexy, and I mean all these adventures. Pocahontas, do you know Pocahontas? I mean, she's just a sexy thing, isn't she? She's half naked with big breasts and lips like, I mean, really. So we are getting lower and lower in the culture to try to mold our children into being stereotypical men and women. And this is so serious. I cannot emphasize enough how serious this is. And I feel so, I sometimes tell my audience, why aren't we just downtown going crazy? We want something done here. Yes, Marcus?
Me as a man get real angry at this as well. I don't want this stereotype on me. I don't want people to look at me as a rapist or a woman that I hit my wife,
Yes.
something like that.
Yes.
I don't want that stereotype
Yes.
on myself either.
Yes, absolutely. And you know what, I'm going to tell you afterwards, just in a minute, that never, ever, ever do I put men down. I just don't do that. And especially not my students, of course. And so I'm going to just tell you afterwards, after a bit, how I handle this, because this is very, very, very important. We don't want to make enemies, of course. And here this is an ad from one of the two, we have two main TV stations in Iceland, and this is their winter program. And you see, we have two women here, but all of the others are men. So I ask myself, what are they thinking? Are these people crazy? Do they really expect women to buy the TV station, a prescription for the TV station, if they're only going to see men, show men? And this is our the right-wing politician who was on a cover of a magazine, and people went crazy when they saw this. This is the cover of a magazine, and this is a political leader in Iceland, with the leader of the biggest political party, and he is shown as a woman. This is so crazy, but he is I don't really like the guy, but his politics, but I think he's really brave to show himself like a woman, which he is. Can you see it? This is a typical woman's position. And this is what we want, of course. We want them to do it with us. We want to be a part together. And I think that in Iceland we have a maternity leave. When people have child, the woman takes 3 months leave, and the man has his 3 months, and then they have the last 3 months that they can share, or they can decide which one takes. So all men in Iceland take 3 months maternity leave, and this, of course, is absolutely great for them to connect with their children and to know how it feels like to have all the work, So this is absolutely great. Anyway, to my what I do in my education, in my course, my view is that I am trying to add to personal happiness of my students. Both boys and girls are suffering in the gender system. And this is very important, because it's not all about the guys being the bad guys. Absolutely not. They are really suffering too. And this is my two goals: personal happiness for every individual and society's healthiness. I want, for example, if you are discriminating one group and you take them out of the power, I mean, you might have the next Mahatma Gandhi there. You might have someone who is capable of curing cancer, but you are ignoring them. Do you know what I mean? So the society does not gain; it loses as a healthy society by oppressing a group. Do you agree with me? It's both personal and it's society's thing as well. Absolutely. Okay. First, I'm going to tell you about the barriers I felt when I started my course. Well, there were not so many really, because I was absolutely, I don't mean to be pleased with myself, but I am. I was courageous. I just went in the deep pool of the swimming pool. I said, we need to do something, and I knew something about gender things, being an active feminist since I was 11. So I was courageous, and I needed to be courageous just to go on there. But my fellow teachers were a bit, it came to light that they were a bit sexist. And first, when I started, they were like, oh, how nice, just having this little nice course in gender studies. This will only be just nice and cozy. And then my students began to, you're not supposed to do that, because this is not right. You are taking the boys in front of us, and I'm going to tell Hanna. And, and this was so fun for me, because they immediately started reacting on, they immediately saw where this discrimination was. Do you know what I mean? And then teachers were like, what the hell is the woman doing in the classroom? She's making these barriers coming in my classroom and telling me what I can and can't do. Do you know what I mean? So this is good. But students were a little bit prejudiced regarding feminists, and they regarded them as terrorists. This is so unbelievable. How the society, how the culture has made this word the baddest word ever. I mean, really. There's no differences between us and Martin Luther King. No, I mean, we are fighting for human rights. Why is Mahatma Gandhi, he was embraced? I mean, why aren't we embraced? No, it's because power has its ways to keep the power. And to keep the power, you need to silence the ones who want it. And society has its way to silence the people who want to go up on deck and take control. So the first thing I do is that I deconstruct the misunderstanding about feminism. And the students, they understand like that. And they're like, really? I thought it was completely different. I thought this was women with hair and crazy and wanting to destroy all men and have only women in the power. And you know, so many misconceptions. It was crazy. But like I said, it only takes one hour to fix this, so that's no problem. And one of the barriers was a lack of teaching materials, but that did not stop me, because we have so much just in the society. We have so much teaching material. We have all kinds of, for example, I make them, I make my students analyze their favorite TV show, excuse me, regarding stereotypes, and then we discuss it. And I make them analyze movies, and I make them read newspapers, and I make them count how many women are in the newspaper, how many, or in the TV news. So we just make all kinds of actual assignments in the society. And one of my favorite, it's really fun, when I tell them to break a gender rule at home. And one of my boy students, he went home and he said to his mother, "Can I use your jewelry?" And his mother was like, "Oh my God, you're going crazy." Another one took the Hoover and started hoovering, and his mother was really worried. And two of my boys, they went hand in hand in the school corridors. That was really, and of course they were laughing, but guys are not allowed to hold hands, right? Unless they're gay. But there was a bit of, it was a more problem for the girls to break the gender rule because they have more freedom to behave. So I told them, just try to fart in the movies. That's because women don't fart, do they? No. That was one thing that they could do. So, I mean, I try to use everything I have in my surroundings to make them realize, because that's the main thing. More about this in a minute. Challenges in the classroom. The many students think that we already have equality. For example, we have the president, we have the bishop. I mean, we must have equality. So they don't realize, and that's of course a challenge. But what I think is, it's quite easy to make them realize that we do not have equality. I mean, I use statistics and I use different methods to show them. And the thing that I find quite difficult, well, not difficult, but it's a challenge, that is to de-pornificate them. Do you know what I mean? To make them realize the pornification in their lives. How even the girls, they are often dressed in the school as, I mean, girls on the street. The fashion, the way that the girls objectify themselves as, for example, crossing their barriers in sex life. We have a problem with that, because boys who watch a lot of porn, they want to do what is in the porn, and I mean, oh my God, no woman on earth wants to do that for pleasure, right? No, we don't. But they do because they're expected to do it, and this really, really worries me. And they are left with really bad feelings. They feel really bad when you go over your borders in sex life. It makes you feel really bad. So this is a challenge. But we discuss it, and they realize eventually. They realize how things are. And how things are not supposed to be. We have, of course, we have girls who are sexist and codependent with the masculine goals or values, and they say, "Oh, stop it, Hanna! We don't want to be like the feminists. We just want to be girly girls, and we like to dress sexy and be pretty and leave us alone." And I try to tell them, you can be pretty, you can do all kinds of things, but you don't need to put yourself down. Think less of you as you think of your fellow male student. So this is something that I had to react on. How much time do I have? A lot of time, yeah, okay. I can talk and talk and talk, because I have so much to say. I really, really have so much to say about these issues, so much. And this is, what I tell you today is just a little piece of it, so. Anyway, students don't realize the connection on causes and consequences. For example, the pornification in the fashion and in the gender-based violence. For example, I see, and I'm sure you see it too, I see that the guys, they don't think it's a problem to grab their breasts, for example. They just do things, they harass them, but they don't realize where it comes from, and that it's not because the porn is so normalized. Do you know what I mean? So, and another example, where does anorexia come from? Does it come from the constant pressure on women to be slim, to be beautiful, to be young, to be different than they are? So that kind of connection I try to show them. They tend to look at, like for example, I was discussing with you, Mr., that they come with a single example and say, my mother controls everything in our household. There's no inequality. So I make them see the whole picture, you know. We need to look at the whole society. Of course, we have all kinds of exceptions from the rules, of course. But that does not mean that we have equality. Do you know what I mean? So this is a constant struggle for me to make them realize that, of course, it's interesting to see individual examples, but we need to see the whole picture to see how the society, how the status in the society is. My background, I'm still talking about my course. I have limited knowledge goals. It's not my intention that they can talk about thesis, you know, left and right. So what I teach them, what they have to know, like knowledge, is the concepts that we use in the gender discussion. For example, normalization and pornification and gender-based violence, and these sort of. I want them to know these concepts. But I am really, first and foremost, I am just giving them a wake-up call. My aim is to change the way they feel, think, and behave towards themselves and the other sex and the society. I want them not only to wake up for themselves, I want them to go out there and try to make a difference for the society's sake. Do you know what I mean? So I encourage them to write newspaper articles. I encourage them to not, for example, when you have jokes, women hate jokes, or men hate jokes, or gay hate jokes, I say them, don't laugh at these jokes. Tell somebody who is telling these jokes, stop it. This is not acceptable. You should not talk about gays or women or men like this. It's dehumanizing. You know, stand up, be strong, say no, I'm not going to be a part of this. So that's why I really encourage them to take action, really. Like Marcus was saying, that he's not the typical teacher, and I'm absolutely not either. I sit with them, we sit in a circle, and I make them participate. I make them be active. And if they feel bad about themselves and they don't want to talk, I make them by encouraging them, by having atmosphere in my classroom is always good. I never talk down to my students. I use every chance I have to praise them. Good for you. This is well said. Good idea. Excellent. You know, and then they gradually they feel safe in my classroom, and then they talk, and then they express themselves because they know that I will encourage them and I will protect them. I protect them from other students, and if one student is saying something negative to another, I stop it immediately. This we do not do in my classroom. And they know, and they don't even try it. Do you know? I have rules about respect, and I always tell them, for example, when I'm talking about rapes, and if I have 30 students in my classroom, there might be 5 who have been raped or abused. So I tell my class, okay, now we're talking about really sensitive matters, and I want you all to talk like you have a victim in the room, with respect. And they do. In every single minute they do. They respect this 100%. So, and you know what? After I take the gender-based violence discussion, which I do, for example, for about 2 weeks, every semester there comes a girl to me and tells me about violence she has experienced. It's unbelievable. Because they feel trust, they feel that I understand, and they talk to me. So this blows me away, really. I think it's absolutely terrible. Anyway, I have a democratic framing, so they can have a say in what we do. They take active part in the teaching, and they supply stuff as well. They, for example, come with a book that they have read and tell us about it, or a newspaper article, or tell us about a film, and they share with the whole class. So they feel sort of like they own a part of the course, and this will even more get them to take it to their hearts and soul. Do you know what I mean? Because I mean, I'm not, sometimes when you're learning mathematics, you just need to use your head, right? You need to be able to do whatever you do in mathematics. But in gender studies, you need to feel, you need to view yourself, and you need to be able, as a teacher, to get to their emotions. Are you with me? Yes or no? Yes, you're with me. Am I clear?
Just a question.
Yes. Go crazy.
I can imagine it all working. I can imagine all this working well with students. I really do. But now I'm just wondering about the teachers. You said you are training teachers at the moment. What's your experience with teaching them and changing their mindset and making them aware and waking them up?
It
must be quite difficult sometimes.
Well, no, it's the difficulty is to get them in the room, to talk to them. That's the main, but as soon as I have them in the room, then it goes great, and it works. It works. I know. It works with students and it works with teachers. But I mean, 95% of the teachers, like here, are women who come to my trainings, and we need to have male trainers or teachers talking about these things as well. Absolutely. Okay, my guiding lights. As a teacher, I have diversity and have fun. We have fun. We laugh a lot, and we you know, talk about farting and now I mean not like children, but we talk about fun things, and they laugh a lot. Absolutely. Not while we're talking about the violence, but when we're talking about the culture, when we're talking about different things, the media, and I try to keep things alive and tell jokes. I tell jokes, you know, to make them laugh. And I once read the research about if the students have fun in the classroom, they learn a lot more. So I started reading jokes and trying to be funny, which is not always working, but that's okay. I keep all my lectures close to them. I'm not talking about thesis, you know, some books that and use words that are alienated from them. I keep it close to their culture. I use their culture as an example, and so they never drift away, if you know what I mean. And I take all issues of equality: prostitution, trafficking, violence, domestic work, workplace, power, politics, and so forth. So I do it in an order. Now we will talk about prostitution this week. And then, for example, I find an interview with a former prostitute telling her story. I make them see behind the scene. How do these women feel? Is it a choice? Really, you know. So we discuss and we see clips. There's enormous amount of stuff on YouTube that I use, enormous amount. So, and discussion is absolutely the main thing. We discuss, they talk. I never, if they have, you know, odd side on things, I never make them feel bad about it, but I make them discuss, and I try to make them change their minds themselves without me saying, you're not supposed to think like that. I make them think and come to a different conclusion. That way, they never feel that I'm stuffing down their throat something. Do you know what I mean? Yes or no? I train them in being critical and to read. I don't know if this is a good word to say, to read the society, to understand where things come from, and be yes, to read the values, read what is considered good, what are considered bad, why is this bad and this good, and so forth. Do you know what I mean? I'm always saying this. Okay, this is really, really, really important. My boys never, ever feel like they are the bad boys. I never, ever talk about men being to blame. It's a question of culture. It's not a question of bad individual. I mean, nobody is born a rapist. Nobody is born with a element of beating his wife. The culture makes us go in different ways. The culture is to blame, and the culture can be changed. This is very, very, very important. It's also very important that my girls, they don't consider them as a victim and feel even smaller. Oh my God, things are so bad, and this is a terrible life. And I mean, I didn't realize how bad this was. On the contrary, I empower them. I empower them. I tell them we are strong. We have to reach inside of ourselves and feel the courage, feel the strength, and change our attitudes. Are you with me? Did I answer your question? Marcus?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should I talk into the mic or?
Yeah.
Because, you hear me?
Yes.
That's one of the main things when I lecture. How do I come out not a rapist late at night when I walk home? I hate the fact that girls look at me as a rapist just because I walk home alone and are a man. And most men feel this way and can empathize with that.
Yes. Yes. Well, yes. There was not a question there. No. No. I mean, but the thing is, there are a few men who put a bad name on other men. Do you know what I mean? And we just need to stop it. And we can. The culture is, of course, to blame, and we can change the culture. What I emphasize on as well is empowerment, like I said, both to men and both to guys, my boys and my girls. And I teach them responsibility. We need to be responsible for ourselves, and we need to show responsibility towards the society, towards when we our parents. We need to be responsible in our social circle, because we can continue with this bad culture, but we can also be a part of the solution and stop it. And we need to speak up, and we need to make them feel their inner voice and their strength and their power to stand up and say, we don't want to be a part of this. Okay, yes, this is a difficult word, but I couldn't find any easier word. Essentialism versus social construction. I mean, this has been said. We are not born with the gender role. We are taught it through the socialization. I usually take in my course. I start with very close to the students, their life, their personal life, their culture, and then I gradually move to the school society, to the capital society, to Iceland in a broad sense, and then we go out to the world, and I show them also how the human rights struggle is, and how the status of other nations and cultures are, because I also want them to be responsible for the world, not only for Iceland, but I think it's the civilized thing for every human being is to make something good come out of them to everybody, not just our closest, but to our sisters and brothers far away as well. Yes, I take school and the social life, I take the home, I take the workplace, I take the media, politics, and world issues. I end there, the furthest away from them. Yes, this is just, perhaps I already said all this. The manifestation of the inequality is viewed, like I said, and we do it, we look at, we head count, we look at it in the background of prostitution, we try to analyze domestic violence, how this is a part of a power struggle, you know, and how rape is an act of violence and power. And I talk a lot about the beauty surgeries, which is just crazy. I mean, this is just crazy. I mean, 20-year-old girls are fixing their vagina because it's not beautiful enough. That's something wrong. Something so wrong. We can't let this just continue and do nothing, really. Yes. And I take, for example, the price of masculinity. Like I said in the beginning, both genders are suffering. And I discuss, early on, I discuss the price of masculinity to keep my boss with me, so they see that I am really from the bottom of my heart regarding or taking their world into account as well. Do you understand what I mean? So they don't feel alienated, they don't feel like the bad choice, they see that this is bad for them too. So we discussed this a lot. Yes, yes, I have in my classroom, I have a flow of discussion and thoughts. Concepts are defined and put into context, and yes, yes, like I said, I keep them very active. I keep them. I make them. For example, I think I have. Yes, I make them write a diary to reflect on their thought and on different issues that we discuss. And they write in the diary and they say, today we discussed porn and we discussed power differences, and we discussed how men look like in the porn and how women look like, and so they write this, and then they answer the question, what do I think?